Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast, where we explore some of the truly difficult questions and challenges that parents and their families face every day. Whether it's the sometimes painful process of parenting teens and young adults, navigating relationships with your partner and children, or you discovering your purpose in relationship with yourself, we will bring heartfelt and vulnerable conversations to the table to support and empower you. Our mission is to help you create a lifestyle full of love, passion, adventure, and influence. Here we go. And we are back with the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris, and as usual, I'm here with the stunning and magnificent Erin Vertis. How's it going?
Hey, how's everyone doing? What's
Can't
up,
believe.
babe?
Not much. I can't believe we finally made it back. The story is that Aaron and I have been sick as dogs the last week.
God.
I went first about a week ago. I was sick, really sick for a good 3 days, which seems a little bit early in the season for something like that to happen, but it happened. I'm hoping that's it. And then as soon as I started feeling better, guess who got sick?
Oh my God, he got me sick. Well, it's usually so Chris and we pride ourselves on going to the gym and eating healthy and taking our supplements. We're really healthy. And it's usually our kids. One of them will bring something home, but they didn't even get sick. And so we're not even sure where it came from. Chris
Who
is like, how
knows?
did I get so sick? But yeah, and so we're still fighting the congestion and the remnants of a bad cold. And I had a fever for 2 days. So yeah, it was blah. And we're still in kind of a haze. So bear with us, but we're here.
Bear with us though, but this is one of those things that when you're coming back from a sickness and you haven't been feeling so good, it's really cool to do something, have something like this that brings us to life that we just enjoy and are passionate about doing like pretty much nothing else out there.
True.
And so here we are. We're glad that you're here again with us. It's a really special opportunity. And for those of you, maybe this is your first time tuning in, like this podcast, Aaron and I, we are just absolutely committed to supporting families. We're passionate about supporting amazing parents. We're parents of 4 teens. And then, of course, we are just absolutely all about helping your young adults become the incredible, amazing human beings that they're capable of being. And so that's what we do on this show. And so we're so thankful that you're here. And
I just wanted to throw in there, Chris and I just recorded a video for another project we're working on. And, something we don't say enough here that we hear from a lot of the parents we talk to on discovery calls when they're thinking about their child coaching with us is, my child, they don't listen to me. They don't want to hear my advice. They don't want anything to do with any suggestion I make. And I want you parents to know that our kids do the same thing to us all the time.
they
I think
do.
a lot of parents have this misperception that we probably coach our kids and we're these great parents because we know how to coach other people's kids. And I just want you to know you're not alone. Our kids don't listen to us. We have other mentors and coaches for our kids as well. And I just think it's nice to hear sometimes because we do this every day. We're talking to parents and kids. If you're not doing work like this, you might feel isolated and think, why doesn't my kid want anything to do with my suggestions? So just wanted to put that out there. And that's why we're here. We're here so that you don't feel alone and so that we can help support and take some of that pressure off of you by supporting your kids.
Yes. And it's funny because you used that why word. And when I was
Hmm.
thinking about how do we summarize today's topic, which we think is a really, really good one for all of us, it's leaning into what that why really means and how it's helpful in all of the different areas of our life. And so the topic today is all about shared purpose, creating a shared purpose for your family, creating a shared purpose when you're at school, when you're at work, in all of the different areas of your life, and how that is going to change your life and how it's going to bring your family together, how it's going to help your kids do better at school. And so that may sound like a lot. And so we're going to get the conversation started today. This is definitely not going to be the last time, hasn't been the first time that we've talked about shared purpose, but it's something that as parents, fellow parents, we want for all of us to start to really lean into defining what our shared purpose is And so that's where we're going to start today. Erin, would you like to kind of take that inspiration and just kind of like, can you summarize what shared purpose means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because some of you might be thinking, well, what is that, right? That sounds like this big fancy word, shared purpose. And really what that is, it's simple. In a lot of ways, it's your shared values, right? It's your shared passions. And when we say shared, it means it's a purpose that you can share with your child. It's a purpose you share with your partner. You can have a shared purpose as a family. Often companies and corporations have shared purpose in their mission statement, that all of the people under their umbrella of that company know they're working towards that mission statement. And like Chris said, often that mission statement is your why something is important to you. Why was this company built? Why are we selling this product? And so when it comes to you having a shared purpose with your child or your family, is you start to get underneath that why. Why do we come together as a family? Why do we have dinners together as a family? Why do we have game night? And when you start asking that question, why, sometimes those words that come from that, well, we want to connect as a family. We like to laugh together. We want to share stories from our week. Those are your values. And so if you're wondering, like, well, I don't know what our values are, I'm not sure what our shared values are, those are your values.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of this is you're wondering, like, why am I not motivated? Why is my young adult not motivated? Why are we not connected? Why are me and my partner starting to grow distant from each other? A lot of times it's because you've lost connection with some of the shared purpose, some of these shared values, and some of these shared goals. So when you're going through a tough time, or you're going through any times in your life, you need to have this sense that you're working towards something bigger so that you have direction, you have navigation to navigate some of those challenges.
Chris and I were talking a little earlier about this topic, and I said, I think what happens a lot with couples, especially, is we're individuals. Just because we share our lives together, we were raised from two different, four different parents and two different families, different beliefs, different values, and then two people come together. And so we often do things very differently in a relationship. I might have my ways of raising kids or taking care of the house. Chris has his way of doing things. But when you know what your shared purpose is and you recognize that you are both working towards the same type of thing, we both have something that's very important to us, that we want to raise, healthy, independent kids. We want an organized household where everybody contributes, that type of thing. Chris has his way of getting there. I have my way. If we didn't know what our shared purpose is, being kind of different like that's what ends people a lot. That's what ends relationships, is like, he's doing things this way, I'm doing things this way, we just have nothing in common, we're totally different people. Yeah, we are different people, but we have a shared purpose and shared values that we're working towards. I hope that makes sense.
I think it does. And I think that what is really inspirational about a shared purpose is that all of us need something to align with each day. We need something that's going to bring out our best each day, something that's going to make us feel like we're learning and growing each day. And not just individually, by the way. When you start talking about school, you start talking about work, you start talking about your hanging out with your friends, like we're just not doing these things randomly. I mean, sometimes we do, but that's not the ideal situation. We're there for a reason. And when you know what that reason is, this is why we're a family. This is why I work where I work. This is why I hang out with my friends, because it brings something out of me that helps me be a better person. It lights something up inside of me that makes me feel like I'm contributing, like, kind of it helps me feel like I'm making a difference.
Hmm.
And so that's why shared purpose is so important. So when you're as a family, we'll keep using that as an example because we know we talk to a lot of parents. And most of the parents that we talk to every day, they talk about the fact that my relationship with my young adult or my relationship with my partner, it's not what it needs to be. It's not where it used to be, and that's hurtful. And so part of the process of reconnecting and finding that love again or redeveloping a relationship with your child is beginning the process of identifying what that shared purpose is.
Mm.
Why are you together in the first place? Why are you a family? Like what are those things that you can start to identify that are going to bring you together? That each of you can bring into the family. As Erin mentioned this a few minutes ago. None of us are identical. Our kids are all different in their own ways. We're different in our own ways. If you work for a company, like nobody should be the same. And that's something that Erin and I are so passionate about is we celebrate uniqueness. We celebrate the fact that we're all different. And especially when it comes to our kids. We love the kids that are quote unquote different. It means that you have something pretty dang incredible to contribute.
Yeah.
And so, as a family, if you start to sit down and identify individually what you can contribute to the whole, all of a sudden, everybody has this change of perspective. They feel like, okay, yeah, I can get behind that. I can be a part of that. I can start to do that family activity because now I understand what my role in this family is and how I'm helping us. That's part of having a shared purpose.
Yeah, and there's really no better feeling than knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your contribution is. I've said this to a lot of my clients that at the end of the day, what fills our cup the most, like what we're here for, is to contribute our purpose to the world, whatever that is. That's the whole reasoning behind our brand,
Yeah.
Extraordinary Purpose. As Chris and I believe that we all have something unique and beautiful, no matter how big, how small. We all have a purpose. And so, helping young people, teens and young adults, really start to discover what that is in them, that's everything. That's when everything changes. And so, having the reason it's so important for young people to really start to recognize what their shared purpose is in their family or even at school, something it really helps young adults with is it helps them to have more compassion, more empathy, understanding what unity means, like working together. Even
Mhm.
if you go to school every day with all kinds of kids that are different, and I'm sure you hear this, I hear it from my kids, they don't hang out with certain people because they're so different from me. But at this end of the day, and that's okay, obviously, but at the end of the day, you're all working towards the same thing. Even a great big high school of thousands of kids, they're all there ultimately working to graduate high school and move out into
Yeah.
the world to do something bigger with their lives. Even that's a shared purpose, right? So it can be things like that. If you're in a sports team with a lot of different personalities and different kids, you have a shared purpose to win those games and become a better person on the court or on the field. And so when you can help your kids start to recognize that they actually have a shared purpose, even in the midst of a big high school or a college, university, or a big sports team.
You're not alone is a phrase that I like to use all the time
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people do. They feel like they're alone when they're in school, when they're at their jobs, even within your family sometimes. You can feel like you're on an island. Nobody understands you, nobody gets you. You got to figure everything out all by yourself. And that's a terrible feeling. And so Erin's right. Like when you have a shared purpose, all of a sudden it opens up your eyes to seeing around you and seeing that, you know what? First off, I'm not alone. Okay. And if you're in a relationship, you can start to open up your eyes and remember that, oh my God, I've got this amazing person, laying right beside me or standing right beside me. If you're in a classroom and you feel all alone, you open up your eyes, you realize that, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to this, or I feel lost, and yet there are 20 other people around me with different ideas and different perspectives and know things that I don't know. And my teacher is up in the front of the class. I have all of these people that if we could work together and I can open up my eyes and open up my hands to asking for help and helping them in return, how much better can we get? And then the really incredible thing about shared purpose is Erin mentioned this too, especially with sports, but also in a classroom, also in your workplace, also with your family, also with your couple or your partner. All of a sudden, when you start to understand what shared purpose really means, it means that each of you, you are different, right? We're not the same people. We each have our own strengths and our own talents and our own passions and our own ways of thinking, and yet we're together for a reason. And so we can leverage that uniqueness, leverage our own skills to make that team, to make that unit, to make that family, to make that class to make that sports team so much better. And that's something that Aaron and I have seen time and time again. We coach young adults, we support parents, but the real outcome of this is seeing the families
Hmm.
come to life again because we talk so much about purpose. And then all of a sudden, the parents start to work on this too, and they start to see this. And then that all of a sudden translates to the siblings and to the grandparents. And then we see families literally start to come together again. And that is an incredible thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to, the other thing that came to mind when you talked about, that idea of that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And, we used to coach couples. We mentioned that in our previous episode. And we have seen couples who just thought they had nothing left
Yeah.
in common. They couldn't even remember why they were together anymore. They had totally different views on how to raise kids now. Like it just, or the kids were gone and they were really just left with each other and said, we don't think there's anything left. They'd come to us with like one last try. And when we help them start to discover what their shared purpose was, everything shifted.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, like Chris said, they started to have new goals to work towards. And when you know what your purpose is, so many things stem from that. You can start creating new goals. You start making plans again. You can start creating plans for trips and date nights and things that revolve around that. And so it's such a powerful thing. So if you are feeling, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than feeling alone in a relationship when you're living with someone. And Chris and I have both been there previously in our lives. And it's a really, and if you're there, I'm sorry, because that's a really, really lonely feeling. But that can shift, when you find that shared purpose again. And Chris and I lose sight of each other sometimes. We get busy, we get crazy with the kids, life gets hectic. When we reunite and come back and start talking about why we're together again, it changes everything. We get more playful, we get more lighthearted, like we start laughing again. We don't take everything so seriously. So it is just so powerful to discover what your shared purpose is. So, Chris, why don't we dive into some tangible steps that families can start taking to recognize their shared purpose and really start leaning into that?
Let's do it. I think that right out of the gate, what I recommend is that your family start to come together. And so I want everybody to remember something. Some of this takes practice, and you're not going to figure it all out the first time that you sit down as a family to talk about shared purpose. All
Mhm.
right? It's going to take practice. But the most important elements of that meeting or that conversation, or maybe your family goes on a nature walk, because Aaron and I, we love being out in nature. It activates your senses, gets people off their devices, gets people out of their environments. And sometimes, some of your best ideas are going to happen when you're not at home. That part of it's up to you. But the really important part of this, parents, is you create the moments to bring your family together, to bring your kids into this conversation, not as your kids, but as young adults, as part of your family, as equal contributors to this discussion, because they are, okay? And that's what we want for you to, number one, remember that. Number two is the focus of the conversation is going around the table, going around your family, and really having everybody share what their values are, what their goals are, what their interests are, what their talents are, what their curiosities, things that they've always wanted to do are. Because you know what? When everybody shares this, it's going to make them feel good. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to see these amazing themes, these amazing consistencies show up. You're like, you know what? Wow, we as a family, we love sports. So maybe one of our activities that we're going to talk about here in a second is we're going to go to more games. We're going to get out of the house as a family, not just individually, but because Billy here, he loves the Tigers. We live in Detroit. So Billy loves the Tigers. Mom and dad, not big sports fans, maybe. That's not true. But if we weren't, we would still say, you know what? We're going to support you, son, because if you love sports, then we love sports and we want to support you. That's going to become part of our shared purpose.
I love that. I think, the point here is to just start getting your feet wet. You start
Yeah.
dipping your toes in those waters of like shared purpose. And it's about starting to create some rituals and create some activities and some goals that you can work towards as a family. you'll gain momentum with this. Start to find those few things that you have in common as a family, or like Chris just said, you support, maybe you don't have everything in common, but you start supporting each other's interests and
Yeah.
passions and strengths. And that's also how you really help young people to feel important. They feel
Yeah.
heard, they feel seen. When somebody wants to go to a concert, maybe it's not your kind of music, but you take them anyway because that's important to them. You are teaching them how to start honing in on, what's really important to them. But I would say just create some rituals, find some individual things that you can all support each other on, and then find a couple aspects of your values and passions that you can bring together as a family. If it's nature, get out on nature walks, go camping more often, have family game night. And you probably have more of a shared purpose as a family than you even like kind of recognize. Maybe that's just not what you've called it before. So have fun with this week. Really share this with your kids or your partner. They're not going to know what this is. You can share the episode or just take, take some notes and share with them what shared purposes, values, passions, strengths. And we hope you have a lot of fun with this week. And also let us know what you found out about your family once you guys have this chat.
Awesome, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Erin, it's so good to be with you as always.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to talk to you again on the next Extraordinary Purpose podcast. Keep being those amazing parents that you are. We love you. We believe in you. We support you and your family. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Bye,
See
guys.
ya.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
week.
All right.
Take care.
We are so thankful for you and your beautiful family and hope you found something inside today's episode that brought you hope, inspiration, and most importantly, a path forward. If you're interested in evolving your relationship, giving your kids the most important gift of personal growth and development, or are a mom looking to reconnect with your confidence and become empowered in all areas of your life, then schedule a discovery call with us today. Our mission is to help as many families as possible find their purpose, and that starts with you. See you in the next episode, my friends.